Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to our guests and welcome. Recently, senior Army leaders reached out to numerous members of Congress to notify us of some major changes they are recommending to the Army's tactical network programs, and I thank you for that. I understand that these proposed changes are based in part on the Army's view that it needs to take better advantage of telecommunications developments in the private sector and more agilely respond to rapidly changing peer threats, in particular from Russia and China. Our witnesses here today have outlined in their prepared testimony recommendations for significant internal process and organizational changes. The proposed changes also include a request for realignment of close to $500 million in Army research and procurement funds for fiscal year 2018, as well as realignment of billions more in future years. The Army can, with existing authorities, reorganize itself to better develop requirements and programs to acquire equipment to meet those requirements. I would point out that this is not a new problem, and that internal Army management of what it calls, quote, the network, unquote, has been challenged for many years by an overly complex and segregated set of organizations involved in the process. If the internal Army organizational changes make things work better, I could support them. I also support, broadly speaking, the Army adjusting its plan to adapt to changes in technology and threats. However, based on the limited information provided by the Army to Congress thus far on the details of the funding changes for fiscal year 2018, I have serious reservations about the funding-related elements of the Army's new plan. First, I am concerned from a high-level perspective that the Army is asking Congress to, in effect, quote, drive in the dark, unquote, as it moves forward. The Army is asking Congress to take funding away from programs that, in most cases, have been fully developed over many years, tested thoroughly, and are now in production. The Army is asking to instead use those funds for a whole series of initiatives that are not well defined and in some cases don't even exist yet. In short, the Army is asking us to take a significant risk in canceling several major programs, ones, by the way, that the Army has advocated in favor of for many years, in the hope that an ill-defined set of new efforts will work as planned, be on time, and stay on budget. Second, I have questions about what little specifics have come over from the Army, particularly with regard to the WIN-T program. For example, the Army's proposal would cut close to $144 million in test, support, and management services for the network. But these programs and services will be needed regardless of the direction the Army plans to take with regard to a new network strategy. As a result, I am concerned that these planned cuts will jeopardize the Army's ability to swiftly and successfully upgrade its network. Additionally, the Army claims that it still intends to upgrade its existing WIN-T Increment 1 equipment and buy significant amounts of WIN-T Increment 2 equipment for some units. However, it is not at all clear how the proposed funding realignment will support that plan in a way that is actually executable. In summary, at this point, the Army's proposed funding adjustment looks somewhat half-baked and not fully thought through. Before Congress agrees to move around $500 million in funding, we need an official budget amendment proposal from the administration. That proposal should include full supporting documentation so we can be sure there's no unintended consequences to shifting around such large sums at the last minute. I look forward to hearing more during today's hearing about the Army's new plans, and I yield back.